Welcome to More Than Meets These Guys. This podcast is a journey through Transformers from the beginning of the animated series, with two old friends coming at it from different perspectives. Together, they will go episode by episode with the occasional extra to look at how the show holds up, or if it is a trap of nostalgia. We'll be looking at all things involved in the episode, whether there were real-world factors that crept into the writing, or if the episode was typical afternoon cartoon fodder. I'm Evan. I'm the lifelong fan who's familiar with pretty much all aspects of the franchise, while Ed is familiar with Transformers, but was never really something he enjoyed. So thank you so much for joining us. Ed, what's on your mind, man?
Man, Evan, so this last week I've been in sort of a video game hangover after I finished Cyberpunk 2077. I don't normally play a lot of video games. I usually have one that I'll kind of latch onto for a while and just play that. And then when I'm done, it's kind of like when you finish like a TV show, like you finish a series and you're like, I don't know what to do now. Like I'm kind of done. So you just kind of pick over other stuff. And but anyway, so I finished Cyberpunk finally, and which kind of got me thinking about licensed video games and adapted properties like that from video games. And generally, any sort of video game licensing is bad both ways. Like video games based on a movie or a TV show or a comic book or whatever is usually bad.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, we all know the old ET, story.
Right. Yeah, that's the original. That's the OE. But likewise, anything based on a video game is generally also bad. I mean, there are some exceptions for the most part. But I was thinking of the reason for that and why it is that this happens. So. But I think the reason is generally that most video games are trying to capture the spirit of something else. So let's take something like Tomb Raider or Uncharted or something along those lines. They're both sort of spiritual cousins to Indiana Jones, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Right. So, but we already have Indiana Jones movies, so we don't really need. It just becomes recursive at that point. We don't need a Tomb Raider movie because I've already got Indiana Jones. Like I don't need an Uncharted movie because I've already got Indiana Jones. But the opposite is also true. I don't really need an Indiana Jones video game because I've already got Tomb Raider or Pitfall, if you want to take it back to right, to the old style stuff there. But and you can also apply that to like a lot of other things like Silent Hill or whatever. The Silent Hill movie wasn't bad, but you don't really need it. There's better horror movies out there than that. But I don't need a Nightmare on Elm Street video game because there's good horror games out there. I don't need a Dawn of the Dead game because Dead Rising exists, and that kind of thing. But that got me thinking about which ones are good. You have any examples of ones that are
it's funny you talk about
good. But I'll get to why I'm asking you this in a second. But I mean, until then, yeah, you have any examples of that?
I had to do a lot of thinking about this because we had talked about it earlier in the week. That's I think why you're bringing it up now. Just how some bad some are, and there are a few that really stood out to me that were really good. It's something I didn't expect to like very much. Did you ever get a chance to try the Friday the 13th game?
The one on the NES?
No. I'm sorry, not the NES. I'm sorry, the one
because that was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was. There's actually one that came out recently. Well, I say recently, like a few years ago. On I have it on PS4, and it's you play as a counselor or you play as Jason Voorhees.
And is it one of those one versus many type games?
Yeah, it's a sandbox kind of thing where you're in like camp, Crystal Lake, and you can either hide from Jason as he comes around and try to set up traps for him or whatever, or you can play Jason Voorhees. And the more accomplishments you get, the more different outfits like the burlap sack or different looks, the Kane Hodder look, which was really cool. I found out actually they use Kane Hodder to do motion capture for the game. So it looks, no kidding. Yeah, it's a little shiny on some textures, but it's a really kind of fun, spooky game you can play with a few friends. It's you play straight up playing counselors and whatnot. I was kind of surprised. I didn't think I was going to like it because I heard about it before it came out, and an old friend of mine said, "Yeah, I've got some friends working on this Friday the 13th game, and it's gonna be great. I said, all right, man. But it's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. It's not polished and super cool like that, but it's, as far as the environment goes, they did a great job with it. So what about you, man? There's anything that stands out to you?
Yeah. Before I played Cyberpunk, the PlayStation 4, or I guess 5 version of Spider-Man, I think
Yeah.
is a huge exception to that. Not, but also is one of the best video games I've ever played. Period. But also, in addition to that, it's probably the second best media adaptation of a Marvel thing, next to Into the Spider-Verse.
I'll give you that. Yeah, I
Um,
need to go back and watch Into the Spider-Verse again. I just kind of watched it broken up a bit, and I'm sure it's probably much better if I sit there and watch it as a full movie instead of by bits.
that's my favorite superhero, like anything,
Really?
pretty much. Yeah, 'cause it's one of the very few ones that actually gets the whole spirit of Spider-Man. It gets the whole,
Yeah.
it gets the whole the vibe of Spider-Man, as opposed
Yeah.
to trying to take it and adapt it into something else. It really adapts the whole, the feeling of Spider-Man or whatever. But the Spider-Man game is one of the very few ones where you actually feel like you're in that part. You feel like you are a superhero when you're playing
Oh,
that game.
just
And
swing around the city's fantastic.
it's great. Yeah,
It's
it's
so much
great. And
fun.
when they made that Dreamcast version a few years ago, that was at the time I was like, oh, this is cool. You kind of feel like you're swinging. But now I'm like, oh, now it's just leaps and bounds better than that.
Yeah, running
Yeah,
up
no,
sides of
no,
buildings.
that's yeah. Oh man, so kind of so good. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'll definitely gonna go back and play that one again. Yeah.
I mean, there's others. I remember there's Alien Isolation that came out, which was really the first time they did a really good game based on Alien. Now, the only problem with that is I get intense motion sickness sometimes, and they had this angle on the camera where it walks like someone's actually
Right.
gait where they're walking, left foot, right foot, and I turned it off, man. I want to play this so badly, so I had to watch some playthroughs, and it's a great looking game. I just couldn't get past the motion. It's killing me.
Alien is actually my favorite sci-fi movie franchise,
Yeah.
and I had a hard time engaging with that one. I'm gonna go back and play it at some point and try to get through it. But something about when I first started playing it, it didn't really click with me. And ironically, I deleted it today to make room for something on my hard drive.
We don't
But
agree on everything. Come on.
I'll tell you you're really the gold standard, and you're really the first great licensed game, though. I think
Mhm.
was GoldenEye on the N64.
How many nights were spent people just playing with that come into my house, we play Goldeneye all night, that kind of stuff. It was such a
Four player
fun
split
game.
screen. Yeah, that was the party game. That was the killer app on the
Yeah.
N64 for a long time, and it's um, but that's really one of those things that I feel like that game was the gateway to James Bond for a lot of that generation of kids. I was a little bit older, and I'd already seen a lot of them, but I think a lot of people got into James Bond because of that game. And I don't think that game is really like I don't think it's really terribly like indicative of James Bond, really, but it's just such a good game. And how many of those characters now are in like common lexicon
Yeah.
because of that. How many people know about Odd Job because of that, or Baron Samedi
Oh,
or whoever. No, Goldeneye to me definitely is that's definitely the standard bearer for that thing for a long time. But the reason that I wanted to ask you about this though is, are there any good Transformers games? Is,
there
is,
are
that, a, is that a thing? I don't even know if there are any games. Period.
there are a lot of games. I mean,
Mhm.
they go back to the Commodore 64, man. And they're one of the big, I don't know, holy grails for a lot of people when like the Nintendo came out was on the well, not Super Famicom, the Famicom. They had this one called the Mystery of Convoy. It was a side-scrolling thing where you play as, I think, Ultra Magnus, actually shooting missiles at the jets and stuff. Wasn't I mean, it could have been, you could have taken anything Sprite and put it in the same game. It would have been just anything else. It wasn't terribly immersive. But I mean,
Right.
really, there was that.
Yeah, that's I think that's a lot of times that is the fate of licensed games, is they just end up kind of being palette swaps from another game. And
Yeah.
it's just like, especially in that era when they just kind of all ended up being side scrollers, or say a side scroll shooter, or side scroll beat 'em up, or something like that. Which sometimes those were okay. Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles was good.
it could have been anything. I remember years later, they had Transformers Transmetals, which is when like you had your big Mortal Kombat 2 phase. Everyone was making a fighting game, and they made a fighting game with characters from Beast Wars in the second season. It was an okay game. It was just fighting game, nothing much really to it. But I think people got kind of tired of that whole thing. So years later, I actually just re-downloaded it recently on a laptop. They did the Fall of Cybertron, which was really cool looking game. It was done in Unreal Engine, and it had depth. Like the game had a depth, going on in the it wasn't side scroller, wasn't two dimensional. It was very indicative of the Unreal Engine. And where you play some of these games where you're driving or something and you're going into a tunnel, and constantly like I said, the polygons or the rendering is trying to keep up with you. It was just really a beautiful game. They did a great job of that, but honestly, my favorite that they've done, and it wasn't a terribly long game if you play through it all, it was Transformers Devastation. And it really had to do with more, Generation 1. It had to do with Devastator. You go through different characters, and it's all cell shaded, so it looks really nice. It doesn't look shiny at all. It has that nice cell shaded texture of CG. So you're basically going through the game doing different missions, and at the end of the game, you're fighting against Devastator. It wasn't, like I said, not a terribly long game, really fun game. Done by Activision, I believe. So yeah, that was I really they did a great job of that. And I've got a mobile game on my phone called Earth Wars, and it's fun. It's just like a base game. You build your troops, you collect prizes. I don't put any money into it, so I'm not terribly great at it. But it's one of those things where you could do that sort of thing. They've done a good job with it. I mean, honestly, the idea of you can play as one faction against the other, and Poland, you combiners and whatnot. So they've done some great things. I think as the technology gets easier to adapt for smaller scale developers, it becomes an easier thing to produce games that are more what we as fans have wanted for a long time.
Okay. Yeah. So, I was surprised there weren't, or I guess maybe there are, more of those just kind of, especially, here lately, there's been like a lot of those kind of palette swap games, even on newer systems and stuff like the something that I'm a huge fan of. The Warhammer setting is a bad victim of that, where it seems like every 6 months there's a new Warhammer game coming out, and it's just it's like a palette swap, like Total War, or which, I mean, those were actual Total War games, but it's like they take Diablo and just put that you play some character from Warhammer, or they take like a game like Divide and Conquer.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Divide and Conquer. No, that's the name of the episode. Oh my God! Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer. Oh geez. But
while we're on the subject, though,
episode 6, Divide and Conquer.
That was the weirdest segue ever, man. Great job. So we have the fantastic narrator open to where he's talking about the factories creating weapons to fight the most dangerous enemy the world's ever known, and showing a picture of Megatron with the enemy across it, and the very much like Cobra the enemy band, band across it, which I love. That it was great,
dude. The factories are busy manufacturing weapons. So I was very curious about this gentleman, because I've talked about him several episodes in a row now, so I decided to look him up. Victor Caroli is who is this guy? I dug for info on this dude, and he has very few credits on IMDb. Mainly Transformers stuff. He's done a lot of stuff in various Transformers things. He's done. He also did some voices in another B-grade toy series in the '80s called Robotics, which I remember only for the theme song, because it had the robot voice, had the Egyptian lover voice,
and a lot of the same voice actors from Transformers, because it was a Sunbow cartoon also.
Really? I'm so man. Wow. 'Cause I had no memories of that cartoon except for like every 5 years I'll get that theme song in my head for 30 seconds, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that thing. And
it's not horrible actually. Check it on YouTube. It's I watched it recently actually. Speaking of that,
I don't want to watch this one. I don't want to watch this one. No, I'm kidding.
For anyone listening, it's there on YouTube.
But see, what's funny about Victor Caroli is that he has 2 credits in the mid 70s, in 1974 and 1975, on 70s cop shows, and then he has nothing for 10 years until Transformers comes out.
Well, maybe he had a phone.
Yeah, and it was 2 episodes of 2 cop shows, and one of them he plays the harbor master, and that's a real important guy. Like you don't mess with the harbor master. Nope. But then in another one he plays a guy called Collins, and I have no idea of the quality of either one of these TV shows, but I'm sure that since they're 70s cop shows, that they're awesome on some level at least. So
yeah,
either way,
to say.
Yeah, either way, the guy should have gotten more work at some point. You can book him on Cameo right now though.
Really?
Yep.
That's actually kind of tempting.
It kind of is, because I just kind of want. I just need like a wake up message from this guy.
It's time to wake up.
It's time to wake up.
Your day has begun.
Right. So
we are greeted the fact that Chip Chase is apparently a genius at everything, and they ask him to come in there to do something on the computer to up the production on these the efficiency on the weapon production. I have no idea what Chip can't do at this point.
This bootlegger works for the military-industrial complex now. He's building weapons.
DOD
He's building
military-grade
weapons. This kid's in high school. Isn't he in high school?
You know what? He might be. He looks he's very bright-eyed, and I mean he's apparently he is a genius. We are led to believe.
Well, he's also, I think he's like a Marvel Comics scientist, because being a scientist in Marvel Comics is almost like another superpower.
It very much is actually.
Yeah, like Reed Richards is, that's he can stretch it all, but his real power is that he's like a genius inventor.
Yeah, what is he known best for? Being an inventor.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, he invented the uniforms that everybody in Marvel wears.
Yeah, so, he did.
Yeah. So yeah. But here we go, and here comes Starscream and the Seekers smashing through the windows yet again, and they're real impressed and amused about how humans run. Though humans run funny, Starscream.
You notice the humans all have like laser rifles like they have in G.I. Joe now. They're shooting these laser, I don't know, look like machine guns, but they're shooting lasers out of them, and they're all bouncing off the Decepticons.
Well, they're in the factory where they make these things.
Yeah.
And they're made to fight the Decepticons, and they're absolutely worthless.
They're terrible.
I guess you need to, I don't know, hire somebody besides Chip.
Yeah, come on, Chip. I thought you were supposed to work.
Yeah, head over to Marvel Comics and hire Peter Parker or something.
They start to destroy the place, the generators, and then they stop and bring in Soundwave, who his utility is to make cubes,
making more boxes. And Starscream yet again for the 7,000th time in 6 episodes is doing the same plan. He's running the same play over and over again. And he's failing again. He's like it's like watching bad football. This is once again he's doing the same thing. Although they did identify Chip with his last name. He has the last name now. It's Chip Chase. Chip Chase.
So yeah, he calls to I guess he puts out the distress signal to Optimus Prime. They're all sitting there at the base wondering where the Decepticons are, where the space bridge is going to show up next, and they're all out of ideas. And Optimus goes, "Wait a second, I'm getting a distress signal from Chip Chase." So he says, "Hey, Chip." Chip says, "Optimus, we need you. They're attacking the base." So he yells, radios the base, says, "Everyone, transform. Let's go. Let's move out." He goes first though with Spike, and
he's out in the middle of nowhere. He's just out like cruising around, like he's not even on a road.
No, he's just like in a ravine somewhere.
He's dragging a trailer around in the desert, and if you've ever driven a car like off the road, it's not the most comfortable thing. But it's bad. But when you add in a trailer into this thing, that thing would have gone flying,
Hey,
dude.
look,
Like,
we know when it rolls down the cliff when the mines exploded, there is no give to that trailer. That thing is like a solid piece. It just flips like like with
that thing is absolutely indestructible.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have the Decepticons have now acquired a pallet of Energon cubes. I don't know if you saw this. It's just like these
yeah.
nice
Yeah,
cubes.
they stacked them up really nice, man. And
That's great, man. They're waiting for the truck to come put it in the back of the forklift.
dude, yeah, why isn't there a forklift? Something on that. That's what we needed. That's
Those
what
are
we needed
jets.
here.
That's why.
Yeah,
Why doesn't
they're all
Soundwave come
jets.
up with the forklift, man? Come
Why
on, he
does it?
does
Yeah,
everything
have a
else.
laser forklift. Yeah. So Megatron and Starscream are just like sniping each other, man. This is like watching like it's like the Golden Girls. Like he's like like Starscream's real big into. He's got to be called a mission leader. He's not the he's, like if he can't be the leader, he's gonna at least be the mission leader. And man, Megatron is just like, oh, mission leader Starscream over here, and he is laying on the sarcasm here, man. This is like, dude, he's got like extra cheese, double pepperoni on this thing. He's got like it's like the Bigfoot pizza full of sarcasm on here. And but then Starscream is like fishing for compliments at this point. He's like,
he is. Don't you want to tell me what a good job I've done?
Dude, yeah, like God, this guy is the worst. He's absolutely insufferable. I would have melted this guy down to like microchips months ago if I were millions of years ago. I mean, 4 million years they sat here with this guy. Oh God, he's insufferable.
But wait, Optimus plows through the pallet of cubes and gives his usual casual bravado about, taking them all out.
Mm-hmm. What does he do though? In the process, what does he do?
Well, Megatron, Starscream says, Megatron and Optimus here. Megatron says, you outnumber him 3-1. Apparently forgetting, maybe Soundwave's on a break or something. So you outnumber him 3-1. So you should be able to take it out.
The 15 tapes that are in his chest also, like they've got the definite. But the first thing Optimus Prime does is he transforms and throws Spike right into the middle of this battle. Like once again, the Autobots do not care thing one about this kid's safety. Like, come here, high school kid, I'm gonna throw you in here. Oh, it's cool because he has a hard hat on.
Yeah, if you lose a hard hat, he's fine.
Man, the Seekers. Oh my God, they absolutely thrash Optimus Prime here. They just shoot him with lasers. They don't hold him this time, thank Christ. They just have him attached to their arm. Missiles are coming out everywhere. They blow him through a wall. Like Optimus Prime.
Yeah, he goes into the wall. So
it's terrible.
Thundercracker gets up, shoots missiles at him. Skywarp shoots a missile at him that he misses, and who's it? Spike or Chip goes, look out, Optimus! It's a heat seeker. Apparently, it's labeled on the side of the missile or something.
Yeah.
And what is he comes back and he like beats it into the ceiling, which blows up the computer.
Yeah, right.
Apparently, this mass of rock or metal in the wall it starts glowing because that's what the computer is. I'm not sure. And he says, "Oh, stand back. I'll cover the explosion." So he stands in front of the wall and it blows up. He comes off wobbly, man. He is like punch drunk.
Oh man, he got blown up yet again. He got blown up. Yeah.
And the three of them they lay into him. They all three shoot him at once,
blowing him up, man. No remorse for this guy.
No, not at all.
And he's So once again, it's from the most like mundane things. Optimus Prime gets completely taken out of the battle.
Yeah.
once again, like he rolls down a cliff one time, and
I don't know what the computer's made of, but it is highly explosive. So,
that was the most unstable computer of all time. I don't like it.
It's like chip chase.
Yeah, if I drop my laptop and it blows up like that, then that's not a good thing. That's Apple's getting a call from me if that's the case.
I accidentally had a laptop go off the hood of my car onto the road, and it still worked fine. So I mean, this is how I guess computers were in the 80s. I don't know.
Dude, your laptop is tougher than Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
Optimus Prime would have needed 17 Autobots to drag him back to the Ark if he fell off the hood of a car.
Well, he didn't need that much, actually. He just needed about 5 of them. They show up at that point, and they're getting ready to get in the battle. Ironhide's talking about jumping in there, and Spike goes, "No, Optimus is real hurt."
Hurt. Yeah, Wheeljack comes up, and I guess he's trying to fix him. Is he a mechanic or a medic?
He's a mad scientist, man.
Wheeljack.
I guess he's a mechanic. He's a scientist. I don't know. I'd go with mad scientist. He really shows later on in that.
Wouldn't a mechanic and a medic be the same thing for a robot?
I don't know, man. Tell me.
I don't know. I don't know, man. What do they want about this show?
Yeah, he goes, "Can you transform?" No, he often says power relays are fused, mobility limited. I think he says something like heart replacement is needed.
Something like that. Some kind of I think he used some sort of a gadget or something like that.
Yeah, well,
Spike took his hard hat off finally.
Oh, that's nice. He was in danger finally.
Yeah, he's still wearing the boots from the Beastie Boys Intergalactic video, but he took his hat off though finally. So.
Oh, he helped ground him whenever someone blows up electrical discharge things around him. I don't know.
Oh, he's got to keep that OSHA
environment's
going on.
So the Autobots tow Prime back to base, and back at the Decepticon base, Starscream brags they have taken out Optimus Prime because he fell.
He fell.
Megatron knows he's not gone until his laser core is terminated, and this is like the first time they've mentioned something like a laser core. This is the creators of later on the creators of Beast Wars asked a lot of old Transformers fans when they were kind of developing the Bible for that show about like what their internal core, whatever it is, it was laser core, and then they used some other things that adapted it to be called Spark and Beast Wars, but it's basically like their heart, their soul, or whatever. So says he's not gone until his laser core is terminated. So
yeah, what was funny here though is that or that I thought was kind of a nice shout out to the first the first miniseries was that Starscream was like, yeah, we killed Optimus Prime. And Megatron's like, did you see him fall? Or did you see him die? He's like, no, we saw him fall. And he's like, well, if you didn't see him die, if you just saw him fall, then he's not defeated. Which is a throwback to when Megatron just fell down and they didn't see him die. So he knows that he knows the score. He knows the villain death, the villain cop-out death. So
I guess it's good for him. He's the main character, man. Unless you saw him die, he's going to come back.
He's going to come back. Right? He's going to come back. Yep.
So.
Yeah, so they summon Laserbeak here, and Laserbeak sounds kind of like when your tape deck eats tape. Like it just sounds kind of like it sounds way better than that 2 episodes ago when he sounded like they just got like an intern to make weird bird squawk noises and they didn't modulate it.
He was not happy about doing this. He's scared, uncharacteristically afraid, but he's more afraid of Megatron.
Yeah, what was up with that? That was weird. You didn't have any problems with this before.
He goes, I don't want to go in there. Like, why not, man? He's done this like how many more times?
So he flies and he follows the Autobots. he transforms into a tape.
He falls on Braun's shoulder.
Falls on this guy's shoulder.
Like, all right, no one notices this.
So again, they walk down this hallway that leads outside with no doors. They just walk in, and then he just transforms and flies up to the ceiling.
These guys need peripheral vision. That's all I know.
Dude, Autobots are the worst, man. These guys are so oblivious.
And a tape falls on my shoulder. I'm gonna notice.
Like, oh, a cassette. Oh, cool. Maybe I'll listen to that later on.
It's just on my shoulder.
Maybe like it's a micro cassette too, so it's probably just somebody's notes from like a college class or something like that. It's probably history 101 or something.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes. He flies there and transforms into a tape and lands on Braun's shoulder, completely normal.
Yeah, it happens. Tapes all over me right now.
I can see that. He after he lands, he flies off the shoulder, lands on a little outcropping, and the 80s camcorder comes out of his out of the side of his air intakes, and he starts listening to Megatron starts listening rather to Wheeljack and Ratchet, and they're all gloom and doom about Optimus Prime. Huffer whines that he's a goner, and Spike cries that there must be something they can do to his dad. And Spike's helmet's back on. He's got his hard hat back on because something bad might happen inside the Ark. That shows you how condemned that old thing is. First of all, the camcorder is very cool. I'm a fan of the camcorder. I think it looks really neat. It probably should have been, he just uses his eyes or whatever, but it's way cooler to have a camera pop up out of your shoulder and film things that way. I think that's pretty awesome. He decides to attack at this point. Mm-hmm. And he has 2 cannons on his on his shoulders, but instead he has eyeball lasers. So I guess that's why he doesn't have cameras in his eyes. But he completely trashes
Optimus Prime again. These guys, like Optimus Prime, is worthless. He has zero armor. He has no like whatever kind of D&D stats you want to give him here, like damage reduction. He has none of this, and he's awful. And every Decepticon has a bazillion damage. They roll all the dice they want to do damage on Optimus Prime. But they also, more importantly, though, when he shoots him, he starts a chain reaction, which was another very 70s. Yeah, it's a very 70s, 80s sci-fi concept. Or when you don't want to explain something, why something's bad, just say, "Oh, it started a chain reaction." And so but like, oh my god, you hear that, and you're like, "Oh Christ!"
The whole thing goes up. There's like this fountain explosion inside the base.
Star Wars did that. Star Wars copped out with the chain reaction.
Oh yeah, like you shoot at like
on the Death Star.
The bomb inside the exhaust port.
And that's right. It starts a chain reaction and blows the whole thing up.
Also, great thing about this is he does this, and after the scene's over, Optimus doesn't look much different.
I couldn't tell he took any more damage. Yeah,
you just you run him till he runs out. I mean, he's like a Honda Accord. He won't die. Not yet, anyways. So somehow Optimus is still alive, but he'll need a new Cosmotron. Apparently, that's the MacGuffin of the episode. No one tells him what that is. It's just a Cosmotron.
It's just a Cosmotron, yeah. Yeah, and so the Decepticons are about to beam their Energon back to Cybertron, and how long does it take this time? 72 billion astroseconds. So I guess they're going to wait 200 years.
Actually, no. I mapped this one ahead of time.
Did you?
Last time. 2,281 years. If they were equivalent to seconds.
Wow. Okay.
Weirdly enough, though, it's less time than even like the 300 astroseconds or 3,000 or whatever it was of that one episode.
This is time inflation is what's going on here. It's just getting less and less and less as time goes on.
More and more seconds equal the same amount of time.
Right. Yeah. Maybe there's some time dilation going on with the way that the distance Cybertron is from Earth. Maybe that's the deal. Maybe I don't know, man.
Maybe. Well, before all this happens, though, Wheeljack goes, "Well, luckily, I've got one of those Cosmotrons in my lab back on Cybertron. They put a computer lock on his lab. So what are they going to do? Apparently, Chip can pick computer locks from alien species on another planet
that he has no idea about. Which has been in his lab for how long?
4
million years. Yes, like 4 million years. So how does he know his lab's even there? How does he know?
No one's there, man. No one's messing with the stuff. It's probably a layer. It's got like 4 million years of dust on it.
Man, he got foreclosed years ago. That is that is a shopping center now. It's
definitely got a Spirit Halloween store there.
It's not like an oil bucks or something like that. I don't whatever Autobots drink on their time off there.
So Starscream tells Megatron a really good idea. They should attack while Optimus is out. It's a good strategy. But Megatron goes, "I'll attack when I'm ready to." All right, cool, I guess, man. So yeah, we'll go back to this, though. Chip uses Teletran 1, and he actually uses it in the best way possible that anyone has. He doesn't even, it's not even a system he's familiar with, but he's going to use it because he's a computer genius. So he puts in like past longitudinal coordinates.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, thank you. He puts in the coordinates of where the space bridge has been previously to kind of get an idea where Earth is, where Cybertron is, kind of give an idea where it probably is going to end up. And everyone's like, "That's a great idea." Like, guys, this is your stuff. You don't know to do this. Luckily, they have the teenager with them. Yeah. So
thankfully, these guys are computers, and they couldn't think of this at some point.
But I love it though. You're back to they're at the space bridge, and they're loading up the Energon cubes and the space bridge ship.
Oh man! Oh, the worst boss on the face of the earth, Starscream, is in here just like yelling at these poor minimum wage dudes. These camera guy. Who are these guys called? Reflector.
They're all Reflector. I mean, they're Reflector. All like clones or whatever.
Yeah. So he goes up and he's Starscream and one of these Reflector guys, and I think it's Ravage or not. not Ravage. No, it wasn't Ravage. It was
Rumble there.
For our Frenzy, or one of the humanoid cassettes. So they're all carrying stacks of things, and Starscream comes up and he throws this pile of Energon cubes in the thing, and then he looks over at Rumble, and he goes, "Careful with those cubes,
clunker," or whatever he says.
Yeah, and then like he didn't just throw his stack in the thing all willy nilly, and then what does that do? It prompts Rumble to just drop his stack in the in the space bridge.
So, like the Fletcher clone goes, "Hey, doesn't someone have to pilot this?" He goes, "Thank you for volunteering, warrior," or something like that.
Right. So he just tosses him, man.
Nameless warrior.
Doesn't give him any instructions on how to run the thing or anything like that. He just
throws him in,
and they beam him to Cybertron. And there's our good friend Shockwave waiting for him there. Hey, how's it going? And that's really all you get there. However, we cut back to Earth, and what do we see there? All three of the reflectors are there hanging out together.
Yeah,
like one of them got tossed to the space bridge, and now there's all three of them.
Yeah, they're just essentially clones, man. Some episodes you'll see like a dozen of them, some you'll see 3. But I love it because the Autobots start attacking because they know they need to get on the space bridge. They've got to raid the space bridge to get the Cybertron because that's the only way they can get there right now.
Right.
And it's kind of cool, actually. I never really thought about this. I don't remember a lot of times with them fighting in the rain, like the animation in the rain. I was like, that's a nice touch. I never really had thought about it later on. So they're fighting this battle in the rain, and there's this Megatron has his villain screen up. Starscream has this tree over his head. He's uprooted. He's about to hit one of the Ironhide with it, and Megatron goes, "No! Let them win." Starscream looks over at him like, "Oh, okay, boss, sure thing." I guess the camera's over there hanging.
What was he looking at? Maybe it was Reflector. Yeah, maybe Reflector is the key to the villain screen. Could be it. Maybe there's
really thought about that.
Yeah, maybe there's multiple reflectors. So yeah,
his villain screen. Comment done. Starscream kind of stands there while Ironhide shoots him with liquid cooled nitrogen.
It freezes him solid in the ice block, man. Like Autobots busting out some weirdo weaponry at this point. And it's a melee.
Yeah, the whole fight continues and whatnot, and but the Decepticons quote unquote let them win. And so they get in the space bridge, and they don't need a ship. They just get in the space bridge and go, man. They just like, you know what? We'll be fine.
They just hop right on. So don't you need the ship to get there, though? Don't you need like that little...
Well, maybe you need the ship to take cargo, like the cubes.
Oh, okay.
That could be what's going on.
Yeah, so so they show up, and they come out of this elevator, and then they just immediately start attacking Shockwave.
I love this too.
And they shoot some glue at him and sticks him to the floor.
Yeah, and I love this though because this was Megatron's plan, and Megatron didn't warn Shockwave at all. He just sends it like, "Yeah, it'll be fine." He didn't like radio say, "Hey, by the way, Shockwave, look out! About 10 minutes. There's going to be some Autobots coming through there."
Right.
They're just unloading the Energon and doing their daily task. And here comes all the Autobots that coming across, and they're like, "Oh, Autobots!" Yeah, dude, freezing the floor once again. The liquid cooled nitrogen.
Shockwave is. I feel sorry for this guy because he just gets dumped on by Megatron constantly. This guy is a total pro. He just comes in, he clocks in, he does his job for 4 million years, and Megatron just dumps a mess in his lap and just expects him to clean it up.
Yeah,
it's awful. But so we cut over to some there's some more Cybertronian jets hanging out here.
Yeah,
and one of them is lime green. This guy's very cool. I like this guy a lot, and I need more of that color on my screen. I need that on most everything.
Like,
there's a lot of blue and purple in Cybertron.
Yeah, one's blue and purple. One's like one's yellow and white.
Right, I like that guy too.
Like fluorescent green. Yeah, it was very nice coloring.
Do these guys have names? Are they canon?
They just actually did release some of these guys in the like the War for Cybertron line that came out. I do know that over the years, I can't remember the names right now, but over the years, the green one has been called Acid Storm. Yeah, probably because of this episode.
because of this episode. Because
Yeah.
the next thing that comes up in this is
Well,
poor ships out in the rain, and it's acid rain. This is we have red rains falling down. So I guess
right.
all of the skin is going to get eaten off at some point. I guess that's that kind of acid. Like what
Yeah,
kind
so
of
this
acid
is
is
another one of those
this?
things like in the 80s when we were younger, we kept hearing about like it was like quicksand, acid rain. We didn't
Acid,
really
yeah.
understand what it was. I mean, I'm a, natural science major now. I understand what acid rain is, and it's not going to melt your skin off. It's going to be really horrible to things, but yeah, so I love this though. We didn't know this as kids. So after they get the MacGuffin out of Jack's lab, which by the way, Chip Chase apparently can pick that lock in a matter of minutes, which he did.
Oh, immediate.
Yeah, he's like, oh, one
Yeah.
last combination to try. Apparently, it was a 3-number keypad or something. I don't know. They find the device, and those 3 other seekers have like seeded the clouds, the reddish pink clouds, with whatever whatever they seeded it with. So you have acid rain, red acid rain falling, and so it affects all the Autobots. Like it gets into their circuits and makes them so they can't move, and it makes them all weak. And what do though? They put Chip out there. Chip's getting rained on with acid rain.
Oh my god, his poor wheelchair must have been destroyed. Although, as a side note here, this episode has a lot of the weak and dying voice. Like the circuits fading, leaking power, must fine. There is a lot of that in this episode. Everybody does it at some point. Everybody's dying in this episode. Every Autobot is dying in this episode.
Chip gives them a rousing speech, guys. You can do this. Just because they were talking about they're all disabled. Being that he's disabled himself, they said, guys, being disabled shouldn't stop anyone from doing what's right. And they're going, he's right. And they pull themselves up. They can what's his face? Trailbreaker puts a shield above them so they can recover. And they're like, matter of seconds, they're fully recovered. They're happy. They're good.
Well, they mentioned the self-repair system.
Yeah, self-repair system. It's a very efficient system.
I don't know why Optimus Prime doesn't have one, because like a third of the episodes so far have just been him getting beat up and blown up, and he can't fix himself. But these guys in space getting acid rained on, they can just get talked to by inspired by William Wallace over here, and all of a sudden they can just fix themselves up. So yeah.
Actually, I've got a line here. No one is ever really disabled as long as they have courage, and they found the courage.
That's fine. That's that's good though. That's some good empowerment and anti-ableist. I like that. I'm a fan of that. So
man, I love this though. Starscream back on Earth says, while Optimus Prime's down and the other Autobots are dying on Cybertron from the acid rain, maybe we should attack them. And Megatron goes, for once, you're right. Let's go. So they lead an all-out assault, and it's bad. They are mopping the floor with all the Autobots remaining there.
Dude, they just came in and they are housing these guys. But and who's fighting with the Autobots though? There's all Spikes there on the side of the mountain. He's a giant like an Autobot-sized laser gun.
He's holding a like laser pistol like Blaine from Predator. He's over the minigun. Dude. He's over there like bam, bam, bam.
It must have taken all of his strength just to pull that trigger in this thing. This looked really silly. This was really dumb. Yeah. And the thing is, they established that they make weapons to fight the Decepticons, and there are man-portable weapons to fight the Decepticons. So, why didn't he just have one of those? Well, I guess it didn't work. It didn't work earlier. So, I guess maybe he just needed to grab what?
Sparkplug isn't going to sign off on that. He's 15 years old, man.
Oh, yeah.
He can't have his own gun. Apparently, though, he found one.
I guess he just picks one up and drags it around. I think it must have weighed 70 pounds. Megatron comes over here and he's no prisoners. And this was
they are going to conquer while the Autobots are divided.
They're oh god. They're all about coming in and taking their prisoners so they can rule the entire universe. The entire universe. That is a lot of bureaucracy that Megatron does not want to deal with.
He hasn't been out there yet.
I don't know, man. Maybe he can delegate it like he does He delegated Cybertron off to the Shockwave, so maybe he's got more purple dudes to have rule planets.
I love this though. Speaking of that, the Autobots drive through. They're finally getting themselves free of the goo that has them like stuck in the floor. Him and the the one guy from Reflector, he's like, all right, good, we're almost free, I'll help you out. And the other ones come through, he's like, you won't make it back functioning. And they just, whatever, man, drive past him and leave.
This was straight up.
No
This was
respect.
it was a total straight up like Scooby-Doo chase scene. It's like, it was just like it was like that scene in the hallway of Scooby-Doo when they're running back, back and forth. This is all I thought of when I saw this. I was like, you just showed this exact same scene played the other way. This was silly. Ravage attacks Spike though, and I was into that.
Fatal, huh?
I was totally into that, and he's shooting at him, and Ravage disarms him and gives him a hiss. So my man Ravage, I'm a fan.
Bad Kitty.
He calls him Bad Kitty. He does. He does. Nice. And speaking of bad catchphrases, though, the next thing, Rumble pops up to the top of a mountain and activates like his little pile driver things, and he's like, "So you want to rumble with Rumble?" Like that's the worst. Worst catchphrase. It was so terrible. Like that was the best you can do.
He's kind of an idiot, though. We already established this.
We did establish last episode that he is an idiot.
He's just like scrappy guy in Jersey. That's what his motif is.
Oh man, yeah, he was very much a 50s greaser. So that's fine.
Bumblebee shows up and like shines headlights so bright at Ravage that he jumps off and runs away.
I thought it was a laser or something. I was like, who shot him? I thought that Megatron shot him. I was like, why did Megatron shoot his own guy?
It's headlights. I guess he had his brights on. It's halogens.
He's every truck driving around in Florida, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. And he pulls around, and the Bumblebee pulls around, grabs Spike, and they go into the Ark to repair Optimus.
Something I noticed about Bumblebee here, though, that I thought was really cool. His interior is pink,
like magenta pink.
He's got pink interior, man. This guy is he's tricked out. He's got some like Cheech and Chong style interior going on, and I'm totally okay with that.
It's probably velvet, you know that.
I hope it is.
That'd be fantastic. Velvet. Comfy as heck. So yeah, in the last moment during the fight, Megatron has said we've won. It was great too. A few minutes before that, Starscream says to him, like, we should conserve our energy. You're wasting too much. He's like, no, we're not. We got this. We're gonna win.
Plenty of gas, dude.
So Optimus shows up last minute and challenges Megatron to a one-on-one fight.
Dude, it was like Hulk Hogan showing up, man. It was like he was like after King Kong Bundy had broken his ribs. Here he's back. Hulkamania is back. And Starscream brings up the battle code at this point, and that it has to be a 1-versus-1 battle.
Yeah, it's like he's challenged Optimus Prime, and like Optimus Prime shows up, and he's like, "I'll do it, fine." And it's something about the battle code, and that it comes up again. I mean, another episode, but yeah. So he goes, and Megatron is just weak, man. He is gassed.
He's out of gas. Because he didn't conserve his fuel.
Yeah, he didn't listen to his
poor guy.
The once again, the leader of Starscream says, "Well, leader."
The mission leader had he finally had some good advice. He finally wasn't worthless like he is in everything else.
Yeah. He takes a moment to assume leadership again, and Decepticons grab our leader, and they take off.
But then he tries to fight Optimus Prime for a minute, though. Like, what happened to 1v1?
Yeah, well, it's only good if it's going to give him an opportunity to be the leader of the Decepticons.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they leave, and that's the end of the episode.
That was it. And
which
Chip says something like, they'll be back. Like, why don't you chase them down and fight them then? Blow them up. Why don't you run them down?
The opportunity now. Well, then again, they're all beat down badly too. So, like, all right, it's draw. Let's leave. But that's it. Right to credits.
That was it. Yeah.
Honestly, though, I'm not a fan of Chip as a character. I understand, in the purposes, and it's cool to have the disabled character and they're doing a lot of good. It just, I think he's like the I don't know, the I can do it all. He's the Soundwave of the Autobots right now.
He kind of is. The thing is, I feel like more human characters take time away from Autobots doing things. I don't feel like you need more than one vocalizer because you already have Spike and Sparkplug. And so we're gonna add this other guy on here, and
like you said, they are already the lens for the audience. For the audience, they Spike and Spark like it's father and son. Who knows where mom is, and so yeah, it kind of takes away from things. It won't be the end of all that, but you know, he's okay. He's just I understand the purpose of it. And it's cool that they brought in like a disabled character to be a pretty much I can do it all kind of character. It was very much an '80s cartoon thing to do.
Yeah, well, yeah, the computer genius was
Yeah.
kind of a trope back
Oh,
then.
yeah, it was.
But yeah, man. So this is, to be honest, this is, I think, probably the least good episode of this that we've watched so far. That final battle had a big tonal shift, and it was just like like it was almost like they ran out of time and just tacked on this quick little battle at the end.
Yeah.
I don't think it was really bad as much as it was kind of more of the same.
Mhm.
It was yet another let's attack a power plant. Let's get energy back to Cybertron. There isn't much of anything new in this episode. There weren't really any cool, like, I don't know. I expected like more toy ad stuff, I guess, which I didn't.
Mhm.
I don't think there was really a whole lot of that. And it was more like yet again, Optimus Prime gets hurt, and oh, like, we gotta save Optimus Prime, and he's the most. He's for being the toughest and biggest and the best fighter in the Autobots, he sure does spend a whole lot of time just getting completely like destroyed by mundane means and just being on the verge of death. You don't see like
Yeah.
Jazz, like beat up like this or whatever. I feel like this episode sort of took a lot of elements from the previous episode and kind of smashed them together, which it isn't always a bad thing.
Mhm.
Like those Brendan Fraser mummy movies a lot of times feel like they just took a lot of stuff from Indiana Jones and just film and string it together and film it, which is a lot of fun a lot of times.
Yeah. Oh
They're
yeah,
not
and I
good.
love those
They're not.
movies.
Yeah, they're not good, but they're fun. Like I've
Mhm.
seen Temple of Doom so many times at this point that I want to see Temple of Doom, but different.
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
definitely.
this one I just I don't know if I were a kid watching this, and so I think this ran weekdays, right?
Yeah, yeah, it did. The
It
first miniseries
ran.
went on the weekend, and these went weekdays.
It was Monday through Friday, right?
Yeah.
Like most toy ad shows were. So, had I watched this literally the day after the last episode, like it was just like more like we're watching these a week apart, and
Mhm.
even now I'm like, that's kind of, I feel like I just kind of watched this episode, I watched elements of this episode. Nothing really got pushed forward, or um, nothing new came to it. So I don't, like I said, I didn't think it was bad. I just kind of felt like it was more of the same. I feel like if we watched this like in a vacuum, I'd probably like it a little bit more. If it was like maybe like a bigger battle or something
Mhm.
going on, I probably like a little more. As it is though, I'd probably. Whew, I'm gonna have to go with my lowest rating yet.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to go with 2.5 yellow hard hats out of 5. Um,
It's almost enough.
right dead in the middle, dead in the middle. Like I said, I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't. It was just
Yeah.
like, it was more of the kind of more of the same. And there was a big lack of Transformers expletives or those kinds of things. I didn't get manifold mouth or anything much of anything fun like that this time. So that's where I'm going to stand with this episode. Again, like I said, I didn't think it was bad, but definitely was the least of the ones we've watched so far. So how about you?
Yeah. Like I honestly I agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of things I liked about this. I liked the I liked some of the tactics that were used were fantastic. Is some goofy moments in this episode. They were a lot of fun. A lot of I like the opening where all of the Earth, the people on Earth are like, all right, he's the number one enemy. We're gonna make weapons, even though they were useless. I liked a lot of that. I liked going back to Cybertron. And it was just there was a lot of silliness with it, but not a lot happened. And it's funny because I read this kind of episode guide every week after I finish watching the episode. They were a much bigger fan of this than I was. It's just meh. It's an okay episode. I think I would definitely I'll give it 3 laser cores out of 5. I appreciate that things like that were brought in. They have little new ideas brought into the show. Who knows if that was on purpose or if it was a certain writer throwing his own thing in there. I like I like that Optimus is just beaten down most of the episodes, so well, yeah, they can't do anything without him. All that sort of stuff is just it kind of cracks me up probably the wrong way. So yeah, it was okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'm really excited though because I think if I didn't know what was coming up, I'd probably be a little more lenient on this. But because I've watched the show a lot of times, we don't live in a vacuum. I was like, what's next? So we have some really good ones coming up here next couple weeks. So I'll give you that. I mean, honestly, it's let's say 3 out of 5. That's probably being generous. So that's how I feel about it. I wish there was more going on with it, but pretty much tropey afternoon cartoon show. Kind of weak.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Like I said, I didn't think it was terrible, and it's one of those things where they can't all be hits. Like
No.
even my favorite shows, even the X Files. There's it kind of goes in waves. There's good episodes and there's okay episodes, and then there's some that are outright bad. Again, I didn't think this was bad. It just it was coming off of that miniseries, which I liked a lot. Especially the first and third episodes of the miniseries. But from the way you said that, though, it sounds like we're in for some pretty cool stuff coming up in the next couple ones. So I'm pretty excited to see the next few episodes.
Just a little teaser. We got Jetfire, or essentially Skyfire in the show coming up, and the Dinobots are coming up soon. So there's some fun stuff. I'm not going to say they're perfect. God knows they're not. But it's going to be some fun stuff coming up soon. I'm excited about that. So
those are coming up in the next few episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought those guys came out way later than this. I thought that was
the first three Dinobots come in SOS Dinobots. The other two come up later, but yeah.
Okay. No, I thought all that stuff came out like much later. I guess it's just one of those ways that when you're a kid, the way you perceive time that you.
Yeah. Next episode is Fire in the Sky, which is about Skyfire, which I like a lot for character development for Starscream actually. So. Anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and take us out for this week. What do you guys say?
There's a thin line between being a hero and being a memory.
Optimus Prime?
Yeah, that indeed is Optimus Prime.
I figured it was.
He gets all the good. He gets all the good inspirational
and he delivers
quotes,
them like the Duke.
He does deliver them like the Duke. So yeah, you wanna tell all these amazing people how they can get in touch with us?
Yeah, we will. I'll put all the contact in the show notes. Edhatestransformers at gmail.com. Morethanmeetstheseguys at gmail.com. We have our Twitter handle in the is it MTMTG pod at Twitter.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'll put this on the show notes once again. And thanks so much for being here again. We are really glad having you all on this ride with us. And till next time, Ed, have a good one, man.
All right, later, guys.
Bye, everybody.